let's see. I haven't talked about the swing volatility, Dorschden Swing Volatility solver here in a while. So let's see. Let's take a look at this. I'll probably have to kind of remind myself what this is doing because I haven't talked about this in a long, long time. And let's see. Let's get this set up here. And let's put this down, and I need to, let's get the swing indicator on here. So the swing volatility, is a measurement of volatility, right? So, for a lot of traders, the best time to trade is when there's at least a certain amount of volatility, right? It's kind of hard to make money when the market's just not moving very much, right? When there's low volatility, it's usually kind of hard, to make your profit in a timely fashion. So that's kind of what the swing volatility is looking at, is volatility, for whatever time frame is on your chart here. So let's remove that, and let's put the swing SI swing indicator on here. Swings, there we go. And let's see, swing sensitivity of 3. Okay, yeah, we'll just leave that on 3. And yeah, you know what? Every time I refresh my chart, I'm going to get that little error message. So I'm going to go in here and remove the TF from my instrument list so I don't get that. There we go. Next time I refresh my chart. All right. Okay, so swing volatility. So what we're measuring is the distance. Okay, so we're measuring the price change from swing point to swing point. That's what that solver is measuring. And okay, hold on a moment while I get my colors changed. There we go. So if we take the prices of these two swing points, right, the swing volatility is measuring the moves of each of these. And we're going to keep making those measurements. So let me just get these little drawing aids made. Right, so we've got all of these swing moves. And so if you add them up and you take an average of them, right, you kind of get an average of the volatility that's going on. Just same thing as a moving average is giving you the average of where price has been. Well, the swing volatility is giving you an average of each of these swing point moods. All right, so that way you can make sure that there's enough movement in the market, you know, for your trading system to kind of work effectively. So like in here, if we take a look in here, we can see kind of the swing moves have been pretty low. And just a moment while I reset my colors here. Yeah, you know, so we can see that the kind of the average swing moves here is kind of tightening up right here for oil, and then down here we can see we get some much bigger swing moves later on. So, all right, let's pull this back up and let's take a look at the solver. There. Let's see. Before we get going too far, let's name today's BloodHound file. So hit that change button there. Grab last week's file date. Put today's date in there. All right, there we go. All right, so you know, the first couple of parameters you need to put in here is, you need to decide like how many swing points do I want to average together. So right now that's set to 3. So right now it's going to take the last 3 swing points and add them up and average them out, and that's what the swing volatility is going to use as its average swing movement or swing volatility. You need to use the swing sensitivity. So the swing sensitivity, all right, that's the setting in the indicator. So let's pull the indicator back up and let's see, I'm going to do it this way. Wow, really strange behavior today. I can't get the indicator window up. Alright. Well, looks like I need to restart Ninja again. You know, normally if you get weird behavior like this from Ninja, I'd say you definitely need to restart your computer. However, I did restart this machine not too long ago. But if it keeps happening, I'll just restart it again. Alright, let's try this again here. So I was trying to get into the indicator window. There we go. Great. Alright, so what I was trying to show you is in the SI swings indicator, we have a swing sensitivity, right? So in the let's see. So in the solver here, the swing sensitivity, right? That's the setting for the swing indicator, right? So that swing sensitivity kind of determines how much price needs to move before it detects a swing point here. So, like for example, if I wanted to try and cut out these little small moves as being considered a swing move, what I could do is increase the swing sensitivity. Let's increase it to 4. See what we get. We'll hit apply, and there we go. So we got one of these little swing moves got cut out. Right? Hopefully you guys can see that. Like this swing point down here was removed when I increased it to 4. Let's go back to 3 again. So you can see here I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 little swing moves in here when the sensitivity is set to 3. And so now if I jump up to 5, I think I'll just get a straight line. Nope, still get one little jog in price there. Let's go to 6, see what happens. And still, wow, I guess I really need to get up there. There we go. Go to 7, and now it ignores all these little minor moves in here. So, all right. So let's go back to 3. Swing sensitivity of 3. All right, so you want to make sure that your swing sensitivity here matches whatever the settings is for the indicator that you have on the chart. And this last one is swing start a go. So if for some reason you didn't want to use the current swing, if you didn't want to start with the current swing, if you wanted to, you could start with the previous swing move. You could, so if I set this to 1, right, then the calculation is going to start back here at the previous swing. And if I set this swing start a go to 2, then what's going to happen is we're going to go back even further. All right, we're going to go back to the 3rd swing point back here. And start its calculation from here going back. And so the number of swings is 3. So we would start here, and the calculation would include these 3 swings right here. So there we go. Yeah. So that's what all of these are doing. All right. So we're going to average 3 swings, the last 3 swings, and we'll include the current swing as well. Swing sensitivity left at 3. Now the next part is you have to determine, what kind of volatility do you want. And right now it's set to 0 ticks, so that's not going to do anything for us right now. So let me just kind of take a guesstimate here on what we got. Let's see. This rectangle looks to be just a moment here. Let's set my grid lines to 10 ticks. Yeah, so this rectangle is approximately 13 ticks high. So let's set our requirements to 13 ticks. So we're looking for an average swing volatility of 13 ticks. Yeah. So we can see, over here, right, we've got some pretty good swing moves in here. And then as the market starts to consolidate, right, we can see the output here starts to turn off. So as the average swing move drops below 13 ticks, right, you can see the output just turns off. And so what that would do is, if you use the solver in your system, it would prevent any kind of signals when there's less than 13 ticks of volatility in these swing moves. And then we can see here, price starts to dive here, right? Oil took a little dive this morning and made a nice large swing move, and we're good to go again. So now we've got enough volatility in here to trade within. No. And let's see what else. Let's get some fuzzy logic stuff going here. We'll kind of play with the fuzzy logic a little bit. So let's just say, you know, I want a minimum of 10 ticks of volatility, you know, but I would prefer to have 15 ticks, right? So the target would be, hopefully we can get 15 ticks of volatility. And you can see here, stretch this up, right? We can see BloodHound's output here. It's kind of varying, you know, so as the swing volatility increases and decreases, we can see BloodHound's output is also increasing and decreasing with that swing volatility. So we can see in here where in here the swing volatility is floating. It's kind of floating in between this range that I've created. It's floating in between 10 and 15 ticks, somewhere in that range. So, and then when we do get the racing stripes, in other words, right when we get the background shaded, then that's telling us that we do have our 15 ticks of volatility that we'd like to trade in. All right. I think that covers it. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Hold on a moment. There's a couple of other settings here. So we have an evaluate mode. So it's set to average. So if we wanted to, we could just look for. Yeah. So if you right now we're set to average. So let's see. That's right here. Here's a good example. So right now we're averaging these last 3 swings here, right inside the square. We're averaging them. You know, but say you didn't want these little pullbacks to interfere with the average, right? You didn't want these little pullbacks to be included. Basically, you just wanted to find like the largest swing move within these last 3, and you wanted to kind of get rid of these little pullback moves, but you're more concerned with just finding these, you know, the bigger moves, right? You want the solver to just take a look at these bigger moves here. Then what we could do is you can use maximum, and you can say, you know what, just only focus on, you know, the swing that has the maximum distance in it, maximum volatility in it, and we can do that. And so let's go forward here, and let's adjust the target down to 10. Oh, sorry. Oop, I went the wrong way. Sorry. Let's go to 15. I meant to make that bigger. 15. There we go. So, so now going forward, so if this is where, you know, if this is where we're at, and we're looking at these last 3 swings, well, at least one of these swings had at least a 15 tick move in it. And it's probably this last one right here. The last one of these three moves here had 15 ticks of movement in it. I think this last one, yeah, this last one definitely had 15 ticks of movement in it. And then as we step forward to the next swing, the next three swings, since BloodHound's since the output turned off here, there's no output. What that's telling us is that these last three swings, and let me change my arrow. That's telling us is that my last three swings, none of these last three swings have 15 ticks of movement in them. You know, probably this last swing, it looks like it's about 14 ticks of movement. So it's 1 or 2 ticks shy of that 15 ticks that we're looking for. Right, so as we move forward to the next one here, and as we move forward to the next one, so also these last three swings here do not have 15 ticks of movement either. So we have to keep going, and basically we got to get out of this chop zone here, and then finally, here we go. So let's take a look at the last three swings. There we go. And so now, you know, these two swings, the last two within our rectangle, the last two of the three swings that we're looking at, the last two didn't have our 15 ticks of movement, but the current swing here finally did. As price dived down here, then we got our 15 ticks of movement right in here. And so the solver, right, gave us an output telling us that finally this current swing move has 15 ticks of volatility within it. Let's see. So as we keep moving forward, so as we look at, as we look at these three swings in here, we can, we can see this. The current swing definitely doesn't have 15 ticks, so it's not the current swing that's giving us this output here, but it's the middle swing. This middle swing definitely has 15 ticks of volatility in it, and so that's why the solver is still giving us an output, because this middle swing here has that 15 ticks that we're looking at, that we're looking for, I should say. Yep. And there we go. Keep on going. And interesting. So looks like we found a little period here where let me get a little drawing tool here. Yeah. So as we look at these three swings in here, these three swings don't have 15 ticks of movement. Actually, in fact, let's go back like this. Yeah. So these three swings don't have 15 ticks of movement either. So we're looking at the current swing here, the second swing, and the third swing, and neither of these have 15 ticks of movement. And so therefore the solver turns off, letting us know that the volatility has kind of died off. There's not enough volatility anymore. Yep, until finally, this swing here, price finally made at least a 15 tick move here. Yeah, there we go. So this swing here definitely has our 15 ticks of movement within it. Yeah. All right, so that's our evaluate mode. And if we wanted to, we could look at the smallest swing move within the last three, and we could, make a stricter requirement so that the smallest, the minimum, in other words, so in our look back period here, this one, the swing move in the middle here. Try and switch this around. There we go. So this is the smallest swing move, and that smallest swing move needs to have 15 ticks of movement within it, and it doesn't. So I think we're going to be hard pressed to find basically a retracement that has 15 ticks. And let's see. Wow. Okay. So let's take a look at this. So if we're using the minimum mode, then when the current swing move, when price finally makes a 15 tick move, then our solver tells us that, yeah, you know what, all the last three swings, the smallest of the last three swings has 15 ticks of movement. So we know that all three of the last three swings has at least a minimum of 15 ticks of movement. And so as we step forward here, so yeah, looking at the last three swings here, yeah, all three swings have 15 ticks of movement. Yeah, it looks like this retracement move here just barely squeaked by with 15 ticks of movement. Let's see. Had 16 ticks of movement. Yeah, so this retracement move had 16 ticks of movement here. There we go. And you'll see, yeah, so let's notice here. So as we get into this new swing move here, right, this next swing move, basically this new swing move doesn't quite yet have 15 ticks of movement in it. Price hasn't moved 15 ticks down, so therefore the solver turns off, right? Because the brand new swing move doesn't have that 15 ticks of movement in it yet, and so we're going to have to wait for price to move down. There we go. So now price had finally made a 15 tick move, so this swing has at least a 15 tick move in it. So now after price moves down enough, when we look back at our last three swings, now all three of these last three swings have at least 15 ticks of movement. But as this new swing got started, the first couple of bars here that started this new swing move didn't have 15 ticks of movement in it. So, and there we go. So we know that prices kept on moving down. So, all right. Let's see, what else do we have in this solver? And let's see, calc swing direction separately. And let's see, I forgot what that does exactly. But you'll notice there's a little help description down here. So, yeah, always keep that in mind, guys. You know, when you click on a setting, there is a little help description down here, just to, you know, remind you of what something is doing here and what it's for. So, and yeah, that's right. So, so the calc swing direction separately. So what this does is, if it's set to true, this gets a little more complex, but when that, yeah, so when this is set to true, what's happening is the bigger trend direction is being taken into consideration. So one thing about the SI swing indicator is it has a kind of a general trend direction logic built into it. So let's see here. Just trying to think of a way that I can show you on the chart so you can visualize this. Let's see here. Yeah, I've got to grab another solver so that you can visually see what this, so you can visually see the general bigger trend direction is that the SI swing is calculating. So let's grab the SI swings here, and yeah, we'll keep our swing sensitivity to 3. And overall trend. So you see this data series that's called overall trend. That is what we're interested in. And let me set the outputs here. And I'll shrink this up a little bit. Right, and if we take a look at this, right, this kind of begins to make sense here, right? So the SI swings has built into it this kind of a bigger general trend identifier, and it uses price actions. So it's using these swing point price actions to determine, you know, the general trend direction. So let's take a look at this. So we had a lower high made, and then price broke the previous low point here. So when price broke, so when a lower high was generated and price broke the previous low, then the price action says that we're now in a downtrend. And so the general trend is now down, like so. And let's see here. So this uptrend was formed because we made a higher high. So once this higher high was identified, this higher high had to get locked in here, and we can see here that price had also broken the previous high point. So a new higher high was made, and so when a new higher high is made, right, that price action tells you that, well, now you're in an uptrend here. No. And so we switched over to an uptrend until until we got some lower highs and we broke the low points down here. So and then it switched back to a downtrend again. So anyways, I don't want to get too distracted with this, but you can see that also inside this indicator there's broader trend direction built into that indicator. And so going back to this setting here, it says count swing directions separately. So what that's doing is when I set this to true, we can see that the outputs here, the output of the solver is now matching the general trend direction as well. Right. So if I go and turn this back off, we can see in what the solver is giving us is a long and a short output at the same time, right? And that's because we're measuring volatility, and so volatility doesn't tell you what direction to trade in. Volatility is just a measurement of movement in both directions. So the solver is going to give you a long and a short output, so that way you could take a trade in any direction. Now we can add a filtering to that by setting this calc swing direction separately. We could turn that on, and then we could kind of add a trend filtering to it. So, and let's see here. Let's just put this back on average. So there we go. All right. Well, I think I've covered this. So let me see if there's any questions on here. Actually, first, let me name this solver here. There we go. All right, yeah, so this solver here is kind of looking at the SI swings overall trend direction. Or actually, I could just say, yeah, well, that's what it's called anyways, right? The overall trend. Yeah, I guess, swing volatility measurement is definitely a little mathematically involved, right? But just to kind of keep it simple, just if you don't, just so that it just doesn't look too overwhelming, just keep in mind simply what this swing volatility solver is doing is it's just measuring these swing moves here for you. It's just measuring those swing moves to make sure that you get enough swing moves or large enough swing moves to trade with them. Just to kind of keep it simple. And and then back over here when the market kind of consolidates. All right, it's kind of tough to trade in this consolidation stuff, and so the solver will turn off, so there's no output, so you don't trade in that kind of consolidation stuff. So that's simply what the solver's designed to do in a nutshell. Right. All right. Well, good. Looks like Pathralwan. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing your name right. Yeah. So it looks like we got one person here that's kind of interested, and we'll play around with this for a little bit and test it out with their own system that they got going. Yeah. So once again, if you want to watch a video on this again on this solver, there's already a video up on it. So let's go back to the web page here. So let's go back to actually let's go to the documentation, and on the left let's find the Dorschden Swing Volatility indicator. There it is down at the bottom down here, Dorschden Swing Volatility. Let's click on that. And then we'll scroll down, and there you go. Here's a video. So you can watch it right away this weekend again if you want to go over this solver once again. So, yeah. And I probably did a more thorough explanation in this video than what I did today. So today I was just trying to fill in some dead air because I don't see any questions coming from you guys today. So I'm just trying to fill in some time while you guys, ask me some real questions that you guys want to learn about. Let's see. Yeah, Samir, I got your screenshot again, but it's the same one that you sent in previously. And I'm just not seeing any kangaroo tails marked on it. So let me pull this up. Maybe I'm just not seeing it. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so Samir, if you could help me identify where the kangaroo tail is in here, I'd appreciate it. But in the meantime, I'm going to reread the description here for kangaroo tail. Let's see. So, all right. So kangaroo tail needs to have a wick that's at least 30% or more of the body size, I guess. Yeah. And let's see, the candles on either side. Yeah, the candles on either side of the kangaroo tail need to have bodies smaller than the kangaroo tail body. And okay, so the close of the outside candles, the candles on either side of the kangaroo tail, the closing price needs to be within inside the body of the kangaroo tail. Okay, I think I got it. So let's see here. And let's see if this is true. Yeah, you know what? Actually, I think that does qualify as a kangaroo tail. Yeah, so there's a close. That close is inside. The body is smaller. And it looks like the close there is also inside. So this is going to be our kangaroo tail candle right there, the one in the middle with the long wick. So, all right, let's go with that. And just a moment, guys. Just gotta look at the board here and get things kind of cleaned up a little bit. All right, yeah. All right, no comments on this. Okay, let's see. So I'm just kind of thinking through in my mind how we could do this. Yeah, I don't think there's a way to do this in BloodHound because BloodHound doesn't actually make measurements. So, so the key piece that we're missing is being able to measure that candle. Right, so we want to measure the height of this body, and then you have to store that as a value, right? So if this body is, let's see, what is that body? Let's just say the body is 80 ticks high. You know, we need to store that value of 80 ticks as the body size so that we can then measure it against the other bodies. And, you know, BloodHound is not that kind of an indicator. BloodHound does not make measurements of any kind, or it doesn't, or I just say more precisely, BloodHound doesn't do math. So BloodHound doesn't do subtraction. So you'd have to take, you know, the open minus the closed to make that, to do that calculation to measure the body height. You know, that's what indicators themselves do. You know, indicators. You know, the reason why, you know, BloodHound has to use like an SMA indicator is because BloodHound doesn't do the math that the SMA is doing. Right? The SMA is calculating the average. It's doing that math. So yeah. So finding a kangaroo body requires math. You have to know you have to take the body size, measure that, and then use that measurement to compare against the other body sizes, which also takes a measurement. Yeah, so, you know, this finding a kangaroo tail requires a bunch of math, which BloodHound does not do. So yeah, unfortunately we can't find a kangaroo tail exactly. So we can't do the body measurement, but we could do everything else. So we could make sure that the close of the outside candles here are within the body, but one of the outside bodies could be larger than the kangaroo body. Let's see if I could find an example here. Yeah, I'm not finding an example right away, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm talking about. You know, so for example, this candle here could have a much bigger body, which would disqualify it as a kangaroo tail. You know, technically it would cancel it, but Samir, if you'd be interested in you know, in doing what we can, let's see. Oh, bummer. Looks like Samir got disconnected, so he didn't hear what I was saying. Darn it. Let's see. Yeah, JJ is suggesting to use the ATR to measure the body, but JJ, the ATR doesn't measure the body. The ATR measures the high price to the low price. So we can't actually use the ATR. We would need some kind of a specialized ATR that could specialized ATR indicator that has some kind of a setting that says, measure the body. So let's see. ATR, JJ saying, let's see, JJ saying, suggesting ATR LB. LB, I'm not sure what the LB is. Oh, look back. Okay. Yeah, I thought your LB would be look back, but let's grab the ATR here. Let's see. Yeah, it's too bad Anna doesn't have an ATR with more options on it. ATR. And let's see. Yeah, unfortunately the description doesn't give us an exact formula for the ATR, but the ATR includes the wicks. So we can't actually use the ATR because it does include the wicks. So, to kind of prove that, if I set an ATR of 1, we do an ATR 1 period. And here we go. So let's take a look at this right here. Actually, even better. Let's look at this one, right? So you see that candle? See that little tiny body? Man, that's only like a few ticks. But if we look at the ATR, look at how high the ATR is, 181 on the ATR. So that 181 is actually measuring the wicks, not the body. Because that body is probably like 10 or so. So yeah, I wish the ATR would work. That'd be nice, but so let's see. So I'm just looking at the board here, see if anybody has any suggestions. And all right, yeah. So Samir would like to go ahead and build the Kangaroo Tail, but of course we'll have to just leave out the body measurement requirement. So all right, let's go ahead then. All right, so there we go. That's the guy we're going to focus on. So let's get this open. And we'll start a new logic template. Alright, so without the body measurement. So okay, so let's see. first thing to do is let's measure that wick, and let's see here. So the tail needs to be at least 30%. Yeah, 30% of the candle. So we're going to grab a comparison solver here, and we need to set our inputs to price, and then the key to making this work is our measurement units is going to be in ATRs, right? So we can use ATRs here, and we're going to set the period to 1, like so. And let's see. All right, so I'm assuming that you can have a kangaroo for like a long reversal and an upside down kangaroo for a short reversal. I take it that's probably possible. So for a long, let's see here. Yeah, so for a long, I guess we'll assume that this is going to be an up bar. So we'll set the long to an open, and we'll set the short, let's see, yeah, I think we want to set short to open as well. And now for B, let's see, for long, we're going to use the low, and for a short, we're going to use high. Okay, so what I'm trying to do is generate a long signal here. Trying to generate a long signal for this kangaroo. So that comparison solver is looking at the open price to the low price. So that's what we're looking at here. All right, so I've got the open prices set up here in A, and then for a long output, so price type long, I'm using the low wick, the low price of the wick down here. Okay, and now we need to set our ATR distances here. So if it needs to be 30%, let's go 0.3 and 0.3. And let's take a look. Yeah, so I think so far so good. So obviously these wicks are really long, and we're getting a long output. And let's see. Oh, what do we got there? Oh, okay. So, yeah, we need to filter out this candle here. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so this is all kind of coming back to me. So actually we need two comparison solvers here. So as I work through this problem, right, so right now I'm just looking at the open price, and I actually made a mistake. This is a down candle. So I'm actually measuring from up here, the opening price, to down here on the low. And if we go back to this candle here, right, there's the low. Yeah, basically this candle almost has no wick at the bottom. But I'm measuring from the open down to the low. And since this is a down candle, right, we are getting a long output that's saying, it's telling us that that this low wick is actually 30% of the the wick is 30% of the bar, but of course we know that's not true. But that's because I'm actually measuring from the wrong point. I'm measuring from the open, which is way up here, down to here. So I actually need to do both measurements. I need to make sure that the measurement from the close down to the low has at least a 30%, 30% measurement of the candle, and so we'll be doing the same thing. So actually, with this candle over here, I want to be measuring from the close of the candle down to the low of the wick as well. So I need to actually have another solver here that's looking at the close price as well. So before I get doing that, let's name this here. So the open is 0.3 ATR to the low or high. Okay, so that's one of the measurements that needs to be made. And so let's go make the other one. So I'm just going to make a copy of this guy real quick. And instead of using an open price, we're going to use the close price. Switch those over to close price. All right. So that's all done. Let's put this on the board here. So let's take a look at the solver that's looking at the close price. And so remember, this solver, this candle, that candle, remember it used to have a long output. Now the long output's missing, right? And that's because that low wick is not 30% anymore. However, if we go back over to this candle, where this is a true kangaroo candle, we are still getting a long output along with a short output. So that's good. So what we need to do now is combine those two together with a OR node. And so let's take a look now. Okay, great. So now this candle here has no output because the wicks, if we look at the wicks, well, that makes sense, right? It has very, very short wicks. Same with this over here. But if we look at candles here that do have long wicks like that, right? That has a long and a short output. This has a long and a short output, right? This one has a long output because it has that big lower wick. And let's see, these three candles here have shorter wicks, so there's no output. But as we look at these candles, right, this candle has a long upper and lower wick, so it has a long and a short output. Our kangaroo candle, it has a long lower wick, so we're getting a long output. And this next bar over, it has a tall upper wick, so we're getting a short output. And this guy over here, this little spinning top, right? It's got a long upper and lower wick. Actually, I guess the upper wick isn't quite long enough. Yeah, so it's only the lower wick that's long enough. The lower wick is slightly longer, just enough, so we're getting a long output for that lower wick. So, all right. Let's see. All right, let's see. What do I call this? 30% wicks. Yeah. All right, so this, what's coming out of this end node is telling us when we have a wick that's at least, 30% of that candle. Okay, so we found the wicks here, so that's good. Let's see. All right, so just a moment. Let me take a look at the board. Looks like a bunch of comments came in here. All right, so Samir, I think I answered your question about the AND node. Let's see. And let's see, JJ is mentioning chameleon. And yeah, correct. So I guess, yeah, JJ had typed in here basically what I had done with these comparison solvers already. So, and just to let you guys know, we really don't use chameleon all that often anymore. So actually having the prices built into the solvers now is a far more efficient way of looking at price. So there's very little need for chameleon anymore. Yeah. So JJ, I would encourage you to, or everybody, everybody who has some old BloodHound templates that's using chameleon to get the price, I would encourage you guys to switch over to these new price option here, to this new price capability. Get rid of your chameleon and switch them over to using the price option here. So it's a lot more efficient. And okay, great. And let's see, a couple more comments here. Let me just get through these and we'll continue on. Let's see. All right, yeah, let's go back to the screenshot that Samir sent me. And yeah, Samir, if you could point out where the kangaroo tails are on this chart, I would appreciate it, because I'm not really seeing anything marked as the kangaroo tail here. And, oh, okay. Looks like we got another one here. All right, let's try this one. And, oh, okay. There we go. So it looks like all these little arrowheads are kangaroo tails. Yeah. Great. I kind of question this first one that's marked here. Just eyeballing the body size. It looks like the previous candle had a huge body size. in comparison. So I'm just wondering if that really is a kangaroo tail. Okay, right, okay, yeah, so Samir is saying that, yeah, this one is questionable, this first one here, but these other ones, yeah, I mean, they definitely, you know, if you look at the body size and look at where the clothes of the bodies are, and look at the wicks, so actually this second one, that wick doesn't quite look long enough, but I think you guys kind of get the concept here. I think, you know, these two in the middle here, these two arrowheads in the middle, those totally look like kangaroo tails, right? Nice long wicks on them, big bodies, and the bars on each side have nice smaller bodies, easily identifiable as a kangaroo tail. So, all right, so that's kind of what we're shooting for, guys. Okay. All right, so let's get back to this. In just a moment here. Just kind of cleaning up the board here, getting rid of these old comments. Okay, great. I got the question board cleaned up. Okay, so let's continue on here. So let's see. The next requirement is we need to check the closing price of the candles on each side. Right, the candles on each side here. We need to check the closing price. Make sure these closing price. Excuse me. Make sure the closing price is inside the kangaroo. Yeah, it's inside the kangaroo body there. Okay, so let's see. This is going to get tricky because we're dealing with a lot of prices. Wait, so a body is made up of an open and close, but you don't know if the open is up on top or if the close is on top. So you kind of have to do a bunch of different checks here to see. So that's all right. So let's grab. We're going to need to grab a bunch of comparison solvers again. And all right. So let's check. Let's check these two candles here. Let's check those two candles. So we want to compare the close, all right, the close of the current bar to the previous bars. You know, we're going to compare it to the previous bars, open and close. So we need to see if the closing price of the current bar, it only has to be below one of the prices, right? So this close of the current bar can be below either the open or the close of the previous bar. As long as it's below one of them, then we're good to go. So let's, once again, change A to price, change B to price. Okay, so A is going to be the closing price for the current candle. B is going to be the one candle back, one bar back. So let's change our look back period to 2. And I'm going to leave this on close. So we're comparing the close to the close. And let's see here. We need to change our outputs. There. Okay, so we had to change our outputs because we want to make sure that the closing price of the current bar is lower or less than the closing price of the previous bar. And so our outputs, we want A to be less than B, or we want A to be lower than B, right? So we want the current bar's close, which is A, to be lower than the previous bar's close, which is B. So we want this A less than B and A less than B. All right, so we got that set up, and so let's put a description in here. Okay. So I've got the close of 0, which in programming, 0 is kind of like the current bar, and we want it to be less than the close of -1, so 1 bar back. All right. And so we've got that wrapped up. And next, let's make a copy of this. And so this next solver is going to look at the open price of 1 bar back. Switch B over to the open price like so. All right, and there we go. We got that one done. Let's put that on here. Let's just take a look at it. And so now, when we look at this candle, so now this closing price is lower than the previous bar's open price. Right? So as long as one of these comparison solvers is true, then that means that we have a close inside of this body. So what we can do now is use an OR node, because we only need one of these conditions. One or the other has to be true. So let's see. Let's see. So all right. So we got the close is inside the previous body. That's basically what this OR node is telling us. And let's take a look. So, wow, looks like we got a bunch of candles where the close is inside the previous bar's candle. And actually, look at this. Oh, So, we've got one situation where this is not true. Okay, so we're going to need some refinement on this. So this logic is not complete yet. So it's going to take more than just 2 solvers. Because what happened is we do have the close of this candle is lower than the close of that candle. And of course, that is not inside the body. Okay, so what? Oh, all right. Yeah. So I guess we need to do the other. So if we're checking to see, hold on, let me get all this stuff out of here. It's going to clean this up a little bit. There we go. All right. So if we're checking to see if the close is inside the body. That's actually two type of comparisons, right? So the close has to be below the open or close of the previous and above the open or close of the previous candle. So we need to do, two types of comparisons here. Okay, so let's see. I think I can just take these two solvers and just change my outputs. Yeah, I think I could just change my outputs real quickly. So let's make a copy of these guys. And so instead of the close being less, let's look for the close to be greater. And so all that means is changing our output here. So, and you'll notice that really we only need just one of these A is greater than B's turned on. You don't have to set both of these on if you don't want to. So I just need to get my outputs changed. It should be good to go. All right. So I'm going to put these solvers on the board. And let's grab another OR node. All right, let's take a look at this OR node. And, oops, trying to grab that circle there. There we go. Okay, good. Now, we can see on this candle here, where the close is lower than the body, now there's no output when we do this check. So, right, so we've got two checks that have to be done, and both checks have to be true. So now we can AND these two checks together. Okay, so there's further refinement on this. So now let's take a look. Great. So the close of this candle is definitely outside the body of the previous one. Same thing here, right? Our close is way down here, but the body is way up there, and there's no output here. Clearly the close of this is inside this big body. Yep. Once again, the close. Let's see. We've got a close that's way up there, so that's outside the body. Again, we have a close price that's way up there, and it's outside the body, right there. All right, so this looks a lot better. Well, yeah, this looks a lot better. All right, so that is for, let's see, what we call the current bar. All right, so that's the bar right on the right edge of our kangaroo. So now we also need to check. We need to check the candle on the left side of our kangaroo body. And So it's going to be pretty close. Let's see. Yeah, it's going to be almost exactly like what we built, all these solvers, except our lookbacks have to change. Because now we're actually, so if we're on our kangaroo body, we need to take the previous bar back and compare it to the current bar. So in other words, A is going to be set to 2 for the previous bar back, and B, oops, set that, there we go, and B is going to be set to 1. Right. So let me undo that. Okay, so I need to make copies of everything I've made and change the look back period so that we're changing which bars we're actually looking at. So that way we can compare one bar back to the current kangaroo bar, right? So we're doing this check in opposite directions. Right, so what we built so far is looking from this bar into this bar, but now we need to look from this bar forward into the kangaroo bar, right? So we're looking in opposite directions. Okay, so to do that, let's make copies of everything we've done here. And so I'll change the names to help me so I can see where that break is there. Alright, so I copied one. Let's copy that one. And that one. And that one. Okay, there we go. Gotta be careful here. These names all look so close to each other. It would be easy to get mixed up here. And, okay, so let's change the lookbacks. Alright, almost done. Okay, I think that does it. Let me just double check these again. And great. So now, time to zoom out a little bit. So I think those two go together. Like that. Alright, I'm going to zoom in here and look at the names. So, let's see. Yes, that looks correct. Great, so let me grab a OR node. Grab another OR node. And then finally, grab a AND node. Alright, and let's see if this looks correct. So, so that close is within the body there. So that looks correct, right? We have a long and short output on the current bar. So now if we step one bar back, now if we look at the close of this candle, right, the candle one bar back, and so the close of that, the closing price of that candle is inside this little tiny body of the current candle. So, right, so we are getting a long and a short output. So that's correct. Now, if we step another bar back, so let's see, the closing price is up here, and that is just barely outside of the current candle. So that closing price is just barely outside this body here. And so there's no output. And let's go to the next one. So there's the close of the next one. So that closing price is definitely inside this big body. So that's good. Step another bar back. And the close of this little tiny body, of this spinning top, that closing price is within the body of the current bar there. So we have a long output. That's great. Now if we go back here, so the closing price there, one bar back, is below the entire body of our spinning top. So that close is outside the body and there's no output. So it looks like it is working correctly. So let's go forward again in time. Now, we have to keep in mind, look at the bigger picture, and we don't know if we have a kangaroo until this candle finishes, right? So this candle has to finish before we know we have a kangaroo, right? A kangaroo requires a bar on both sides of it, so we have to have, the bar on the right here. So we're actually going to get the signal on the bar after the kangaroo, right? So the condition that we're looking at is, just a moment, let's get rid of that. So remember that the condition that we're looking at right now is these two candles, right? We're looking at the comparison of these two candles. And so we need to get the signal from these two candles on to the next bar, right? On to the next bar over. So what I'm going to do is use a look back to shift that over, right? Just like that, there. So remember this AND node, right? All these solvers here, it's comparing these two candles. It's comparing the kangaroo candle to the bar on the right. And this group is comparing the kangaroo candle to the bar on the left, right? And so this comparison is one bar behind, so we need to shift it forward onto the current bar. And so that's why we're using this look back. There we go. All right, so let's name this here. So let's see. Alright, so this is comparing the kangaroo and the right bar, and that and node is comparing the kangaroo and the left bar. And I'm just going to finish renaming these here, just so everything looks consistent and pretty. All right. There. So we have three kind of conditions built here. So we've got the wick. So if we look at this AND node, right, that's our 30% wick. And then these other AND nodes are looking at the close, comparing the bars and closes. So here, actually, let's rename this a little bit better here. So this is the right bar close. Let's see, inside the kangaroo body. There we go. There's the full name. And so let's rename that AND node. Oh, actually, let's see. There we go. All right, so we've got our three conditions built. I guess you could say the three kind of core requirements or core conditions of a kangaroo, right, are wick, and then comparing the closing price of the right body, and then comparing the closing price of the left body. And so now we need to tie all of these conditions together so that they're all true at the same time. And let's take a look at this here. So this condition, let's zoom in here so we can take a look. So remember, this guy, this AND node, is telling us when we have a 30% wick. But that is actually working on the actual body that has the 30% wick. So remember, we don't know we have a kangaroo body until we get to the right bar, right? The bar on the right has to form. So once again, we need to take the signal from the kangaroo, right, the wick from the kangaroo bar, and we need to shift it forward one bar onto the bar that actually has the signal, that generates the signal. So once again, we're going to need another look back to shift that wick forward, like so. There we go. So there we go. We took this long lower wick and we shifted that signal forward onto the next bar. All right, and now let's tie all these together with an AND node again. Let's tie that in there, tie that in there, and tie that in there. And let's take a look at the chart, see what we got. Interesting. So I guess technically that qualified as a kangaroo bar. I'm not sure if these kangaroo bars are supposed to identify, you know, the bottom of a swing move, but looks like it does identify them sometimes pretty good. So there we go. You know, I guess I did try to kind of identify whether it's going to be a kangaroo bottom or a kangaroo top, but you know, it doesn't always work out that way, does it? So probably what would be better is if I took a long short modifier, that way. Okay, I'm going to switch the mode to not average, but add addition. Yeah, addition here. So and let's change the name here. So basically I'm using this long short modifier, so I get both long and short. So alright, so there we go. It kind of looks like these kangaroo tails aren't indicative of long or short conditions. It's just a condition. So there we go. You know, we could definitely add more to this and make the requirements, make the conditions a little stricter. But that's what we got so far. All right, so I'm going to take a look at the board, see if there's any comments on this. Let's see. All right. Yeah, good question. JJ's got a good question. He'd like to see where can he read about this setup. So yeah, let me get that information. So this came from Dr. Alexander Elder from one of his books here. So the book is called Come Into My Trading Room. All right. So let me put this in the chat box here. Let me get the chat box open. All right. So there you go, JJ. So that kangaroo setup comes from Dr. Alexander Elder's book there. Yeah. Yeah, I bet you if you Google, you know, kangaroo tail trading setup, I bet you'll find some articles on that as well. All right, well, great, guys. Anybody have any comments or maybe changes to this? Any kind of, you know, requirement changes or anything? Any adjustments to this they'd be interested in seeing? So otherwise, I guess we'll wrap this up with that one. This is a good one to end today's workshop on.